My fiance's neighbor said, "You two looked cozy on the porch last night. I was working a double shift at the hospital last night. I stood there holding groceries, my scrub still damp from rushing through the rain. The neighbor, an older woman named Mrs. Holloway, smiled at me like she'd just commented on the weather. Around 11 p.m., she continued, I came out to check my mailbox. You two were sharing wine and laughing. So nice to see young couples enjoying each other's company." "That wasn't me," I said carefully. "I didn't get home until 6 a.m. Her smile faltered. "Oh, well, she had your hair color and your build. I just assumed." She hurried back inside before I could respond. I stood on the sidewalk for a full minute before my hands started shaking. I'd been at County General from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., covering for a sick colleague. My badge had swiped in and out. Security footage would show me there all night. I'd texted my fiancé Connor around midnight during a break, telling him I loved him and couldn't wait to be home. He'd responded immediately. "Miss you, baby. House feels empty without you." I walked inside. Connor was in the kitchen making breakfast, still in his pajamas. "Morning," he said, kissing my forehead. "How was work?" "Exhausting," I replied, watching his face. "Mrs. Holloway just told me something interesting." "Yeah?" He cracked eggs into a pan. "What's that?" "She said she saw us on the porch last night around 11 p.m. His hand paused for just a fraction of a second. Then he laughed. "That's weird. Maybe she's getting confused in her old age." "Maybe." I set down the groceries. "I'm going to shower." In the bathroom, I checked my phone. Connor's location sharing had been on for months, something we'd both agreed to for safety. Last night, his phone showed he'd been home all evening, but Mrs. Holloway wasn't confused. She described details, the wine, the laughter, someone who looked exactly like me. I dried off and opened Connor's laptop, still logged into his email. My stomach twisted as I scrolled. Nothing obvious. No hotel reservations or suspicious charges. Then I saw it, a calendar invite from last week. Dinner, 8 p.m., with someone named Becca. The invite had been deleted but was still in the trash folder. I checked his credit card statement. Last Tuesday, when he'd told me he was working late, there was a charge for $147 at Mercado, the Italian place downtown, our favorite restaurant, where he'd proposed to me a year ago. My hands were steady now. I felt cold and clear-headed. I went back downstairs. Connor was plating eggs. "Feel better?" he asked. "Much better." "Hey, do you remember if Mrs. Holloway has ever confused other neighbors before?" "Not that I know of," he said. "Why?" "Just wondering." "She was very specific about what she saw. Said the woman was wearing a blue sweater." Connor's face went pale. "A blue sweater?" "Yeah, that's what she said." He turned back to the stove. "Well, lots of people have blue sweaters." I nodded slowly. In our bedroom closet, hanging on my side, was a blue sweater I'd bought 2 weeks ago. Connor had commented on how much he loved it, how it brought out my eyes. I'd only worn it once, around the house, the night before I worked that double. "Connor," I said quietly, "what's Becca's last name?" His shoulders tensed. The spatula clattered into the sink. "How do you—" He turned around, and I saw everything I needed to see in his face. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. This is Becca. Connor's been lying to both of us." I held up my phone so Connor could see the screen. He went white. Actually white, like all the blood had drained from his face. "I can explain," he said. "I'm sure you can." I picked up my keys. "But I'm going to talk to Becca first." "Wait, don't." He reached for my arm. I pulled away. "Don't touch me," I texted back. "Coffee shop on Main Street, 30 minutes. The response came immediately. "I'll be there." I drove to the coffee shop in silence. My brain felt like it was wrapped in cotton. Everything seemed distant and unreal. I kept thinking about how Connor had kissed my forehead this morning, how normal everything had seemed. Becca was already there when I arrived. I recognized her immediately because she looked exactly like me. Same height, same build, same long dark hair. She was even wearing a blue sweater identical to mine. She stood up when I walked in. "I'm so sorry," she said. "I had no idea you existed until yesterday." We sat down. She ordered coffee. I ordered nothing. My stomach couldn't handle it. "How long?" I asked. 4 months, Becca said. "We met at his company's client appreciation event. I'm a paralegal at one of the firms they work with. He told me he was single. We started dating in September. While I was planning our wedding, while I was choosing bridesmaid dresses and tasting cakes. He's been coming to my apartment twice a week," Becca continued. "Tuesday and Thursday nights. He said he had a standing work commitment those evenings." I believed him. She pulled out her phone and showed me photos. Connor at her apartment. Connor at restaurants I didn't recognize. Connor kissing her on a hiking trail. "Last night was the first time he came to his place," she said. "He told me his roommate was out of town. We sat on the porch and drank wine. When I asked him why we couldn't just go inside, he got weird about it. Said he was having the carpets cleaned and everything smelled like chemicals." "I'm not his roommate," I said. "I'm his fiancé. We've been engaged for a year, together for 4 years total." Becca's eyes filled with tears. "Oh my God. How did you find out?" I asked. "This morning I left something at his place. I went back to get it. Mrs. Holloway stopped me. She said, 'Back so soon? Didn't you just leave a few hours ago for work?' She described you. The scrubs." I realized he'd been lying about everything. We sat there for a long time. 2 women who'd been dating the same man. She showed me more evidence. Text messages where he'd called her baby, the same pet name he used for me. Photos of them at the same places he'd taken me. He'd even given her a necklace similar to one he'd given me for our anniversary. "What are we going to do?" Becca asked. "I don't know about you," I said, "but I'm done." I drove home. Connor was pacing in the living room. "Can we please talk about this?" he said the moment I walked in. "No." I walked past him to the bedroom and started packing. "It's not what you think," he said, following me. "Becca and I, it wasn't serious. She doesn't mean anything to me." I kept folding clothes, putting them in my suitcase. not looking at him. "You're the one I love," he said. "You're the one I want to marry. I made a mistake, a stupid mistake, but it's over now. I'll never see her again." "You're right about one thing," I said. "It's over. Please don't do this." His voice broke. "We can work through this. We can go to counseling. I'll do anything." I zipped up my suitcase. "I need you to understand something. You didn't just cheat on me. You created an entire second life. You took her to our restaurant. You gave her jewelry like mine. You even had her dress like me. That's not a mistake. That's a choice you made over and over again for 4 months. I love you," he said desperately. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this." I pulled my engagement ring off and set it on the dresser. "I'm staying at my sister's. I'll come back next week for the rest of my things. Don't contact me." I drove to my sister's apartment across town. She took one look at my face and pulled me inside. I told her everything while she made tea I didn't drink. Her husband offered to handle Connor, which I appreciated but declined. Violence wouldn't fix anything. That night, lying in their guest room, I checked Connor's location on my phone. He was at Becca's apartment. I guess he decided to salvage what he could. I blocked his number, blocked him on all social media, changed my passwords to everything. The next morning, Connor's mother called. "Honey, Connor told me what happened. He made a terrible mistake, but he loves you so much. Can't you give him another chance? Did he tell you he was living a double life for 4 months?" I asked. "Did he tell you he brought his girlfriend to our house while I was at work?" Silence. Then, "I'm sure there's more to the story." "There isn't." I hung up. Connor's best friend texted me. "I know you're hurt, but Connor's devastated. He really does love you. Everyone makes mistakes." I didn't respond. My mom called. "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" "Just time," I said. She didn't push. She just said, "I'm here when you're ready." I went to work the next day, threw myself into my shifts. My colleagues could tell something was wrong, but no one asked directly. The head nurse pulled me aside after a particularly long surgery. "Whatever you're going through, you don't have to go through it alone." "I know," I said. "Thank you." I started looking for a new apartment, somewhere Connor didn't know about, somewhere I could start fresh. I found a small one-bedroom place on the other side of town. It was more expensive than I wanted, but it had good security and no memories. A week later, I went back to the house with my sister and her husband. Connor had left everything exactly as I'd left it. My engagement ring still sat on the dresser. There was a note underneath it. "I'm sorry isn't enough, I know that, but I need you to know I never meant to hurt you. I was selfish and stupid and I destroyed the best thing in my life. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know that you deserved better. You deserved everything, and I failed you. I'll live with that regret for the rest of my life." I left the note and the ring, took only what was mine, loaded it all into a moving truck my brother-in-law had rented. We were done in 6 hours. As we were loading the last box, Mrs. Holloway came out. "I'm so sorry, dear. If I'd known, I would have told you sooner." "It's not your fault," I said. "You probably saved me from marrying him." She squeezed my hand. "You're going to be okay. I can tell. You're stronger than you think." I moved into my new apartment. It was bare and empty and perfect. No shared furniture, no memories. Just me and a chance to rebuild. Becca texted me a week later. "I broke up with him. I couldn't get past the lying. I hope you're doing okay." "I'm getting there," I texted back. "Thank you for telling me the truth. Thank you for not blaming me," she replied. I felt so stupid for not seeing the signs. "We both missed them," I said. "He's good at lying." We didn't become friends exactly, but we checked in with each other occasionally. 2 women who'd survived the same deception. Connor kept trying to contact me through mutual friends. Each time I made it clear, I didn't want to hear from him. I didn't want explanations or apologies. I wanted him gone from my life. 1 month after I moved out, I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Connor. I know you blocked me. I just need you to know I'm moving to Denver for work. Fresh start. I won't bother you anymore. I hope you find someone who treats you the way you deserve to be treated." I didn't respond. My sister threw me a divorce, but not really because you dodged a bullet party. Her words. It was just close friends, wine, and terrible movies. Exactly what I needed. At work, I threw myself into my patients. Being a nurse meant dealing with life and death every day. It gave me perspective. My heartbreak was real, but people were fighting for their lives in the rooms around me. I could survive this. I started therapy. The therapist asked me why I thought I hadn't seen the signs. I trusted him, I said, completely. He gave me no reason not to. "That's not a weakness," she said. "That's love. He took advantage of that. But it doesn't mean you were wrong to trust." Slowly, I started to feel like myself again. I painted my new apartment, bought furniture that was mine, adopted a cat from the shelter, named her Murphy because of Murphy's Law. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. She purred and didn't care about my failed relationship. I made new friends at work, started going to book club, joined a running group, rebuilt my life piece by piece. One of the nurses I worked with, Caleb, asked me out for coffee. I said no at first. I wasn't ready. He said okay and didn't push. A month later, he asked again. This time I said yes. We talked about everything except my ex. He told me about his divorce from 5 years ago, how his ex-wife had left him for her boss, how he'd thought he'd never trust anyone again. "But you do now?" I asked. "I'm trying," he said. "It's not easy, but I don't want to let one person's choices dictate the rest of my life." We started dating slowly, very slowly. I was upfront about my baggage, about needing time, about trust being difficult. "I'm not in a hurry," he said. "We can take this at whatever pace you need." 6 months after I'd left Connor, I finally felt like I could breathe again. The sharp pain had dulled to a manageable ache. I could go whole days without thinking about him. Then, one day at work, a patient was brought in after a car accident. Severe injuries, multiple fractures. The family was in the waiting room, desperate for updates. I went out to talk to them. Connor's mother was there. She stared at me. I stared back. The patient is stable, I said professionally. The doctor will be out soon to discuss the injuries. Thank you, she whispered. I walked away, finished my shift, went home to my apartment and my cat and my new life. I never found out who the patient was. I didn't need to know. That part of my life was over. A year after everything fell apart, I ran into Mrs. Holloway at the grocery store. Oh, honey, she said. Look at you. You're glowing. I smiled. I'm doing well. Really well. I'm so glad, she said. I always worried I'd ruined your life by telling you. You saved my life, I said. You helped me see the truth before I married someone who didn't deserve me. She hugged me. You're going to make someone very happy someday. Maybe, I said. But first, I'm just focused on making myself happy. Caleb proposed on a Tuesday night in my apartment. Nothing fancy. Just him, me, and Murphy the cat. I know you have reasons to be cautious, he said. I'm not asking you to forget what happened to you. I'm asking you to take a chance on something new. On us. I promise I will never give you a reason to doubt me. I looked at the ring. Simple. Elegant. Nothing like the one Connor had given me. I need you to understand something, I said. I'm never going to be the person who trusts blindly again. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to verify things. Not because I don't trust you, but because I need to protect myself. I understand, he said. Ask anything. Verify everything. I have nothing to hide. I said yes. We got married at City Hall on a Saturday morning. Just us, my sister, and his brother. No big wedding, no drama. Just two people who'd been hurt before, deciding to try again. On my wedding day, I thought about Connor briefly. Wondered where he was, if he'd learned anything, if he was making someone else miserable. Then Caleb squeezed my hand, and I stopped thinking about the past. You ready? He asked. Yeah, I said. I am. We walked into the courthouse together, started our new life, built something real on a foundation of honesty and trust. 2 years later, I'm still married to Caleb. We have a small house with a big backyard. Murphy the cat rules the place. We both still work at the hospital. Different shifts, different departments. But we make it work. I still see Mrs. Holloway occasionally. She always asks how I'm doing. I always tell her the truth. I'm happy. Sometimes I think about what my life would have been like if she hadn't said anything that morning. If I'd married Connor. If I'd found out later, after we had kids. After our lives were more intertwined. The thought makes me sick. But then I look at the life I have now. The husband who leaves notes in my lunch. Who does half the housework without being asked. Who never makes me doubt him. Who gave me his phone password on our second date without me asking. Who checks in during the day just to say he's thinking about me. This is what love is supposed to look like. Not perfect. We still fight sometimes. Still disagree. Still have bad days. But it's honest. It's real. It's built on trust. And that makes all the difference. I got a Facebook message last year from Becca. I'm getting married, she said, to someone honest this time. I just wanted to say thank you for showing me that it was okay to walk away, that I deserved better. Congratulations. I wrote back. You do deserve better. We both did. She sent me a photo from her wedding. She looked happy, genuinely happy. I was glad for her. Connor never contacted me again after that text about moving to Denver. I heard through mutual acquaintances that he'd gotten engaged to someone else about a year after we broke up. Then that engagement ended too. Apparently she'd found out he was still on dating apps. Some people never change, but some people do. I changed. I learned to trust my instincts, to ask questions, to not ignore red flags, to value honesty above everything else. I learned that it's okay to walk away from something that looks perfect on the outside if it's rotten underneath. I learned that starting over isn't failure, it's courage. And I learned that the right person will never make you question their loyalty, will never make you feel like you're competing for their attention, will never create a separate life behind your back. The right person will be exactly who they say they are. My life is smaller now than it could have been. No big house, no lavish wedding, no perfect Instagram photos of a seemingly perfect relationship, but it's real and honest and mine. And that's worth everything. Last week, I was at the hospital finishing up a shift when a young woman came in. Her boyfriend had brought her after she'd fainted. She was dehydrated, stressed, working too much. As I hooked her up to an IV, she started crying. What's wrong? I asked gently. I think my boyfriend is cheating on me, she said. But I don't have proof. Everyone tells me I'm paranoid, that I'm imagining things. But I know something's wrong. I held her hand. Trust your gut, I said. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't ignore that feeling. But what if I'm wrong? She asked. What if I ruin everything over nothing? Then you'll know you were wrong, I said. But at least you'll know. Not knowing is worse. Living with that doubt, that constant anxiety, it eats away at you. Ask him. Look for the truth, whatever it is. Knowing is better than wondering. She nodded, wiped her eyes. Thank you. I don't know what happened with her, whether she confronted her boyfriend, whether her suspicions were right or wrong, but I hope she trusted herself. I hope she found the truth, whatever it was. That's what Mrs. Holloway gave me that morning. The truth. It hurt. It devastated me. It destroyed the life I thought I was building, but it also set me free. And now, sitting in my kitchen while Caleb makes dinner and Murphy whines around my ankles purring, I can honestly say I wouldn't change anything. Because this life, the one I built from the rubble of my broken engagement, is better than anything I could have imagined. It's real. It's honest. It's mine. And that's exactly what I deserve. Character count, 23,147 characters I see. I need to continue further to reach 50,000 characters. Let me continue the story with more depth and development. The thing about betrayal is that it changes you in ways you don't expect. Not just in relationships, but in everything. I became someone who triple checks doors, who saves receipts, who takes screenshots of conversations just in case. Caleb never complained. Not once. When I asked him to share his location with me permanently, he did it immediately. When I wanted access to his phone, he handed it over without hesitation. When I needed to verify something he'd told me, he provided proof without making me feel crazy. "I'm not Connor," he said one night when I apologized for the 10th time for being paranoid. "You're not paranoid. You're cautious. There's a difference. And I'll spend every day for the rest of my life showing you that I'm trustworthy." He did. Every single day. My sister still brings up Connor sometimes, usually when she's had wine. "I never liked him," she'll say. "There was always something off, too smooth, too charming." "Why didn't you say anything?" I asked her once. "Would you have listened?" she replied. She was right. I wouldn't have. I was so in love with the idea of Connor that I couldn't see the reality of him. The way he always had excuses. The way his stories sometimes didn't quite add up. The way he'd get defensive when I asked too many questions. With Caleb, everything is different. When I ask him questions, he answers thoroughly. When his story doesn't make sense, he clarifies without getting angry. When I need reassurance, he gives it freely. This is what healthy looks like. I still work at County General, still pull long shifts, still come home exhausted. But now, Caleb has dinner waiting, or he's waiting up to eat with me, or there's a note on the counter telling me there are leftovers in the fridge. Small things, consistent things, things that prove I matter. My mom finally met Caleb 6 months after we started dating. She'd been hesitant, worried I was rushing into something new. But within an hour of meeting him, she pulled me aside. "This one's different," she said. "He looks at you like you're the only person in the room." "I know," I said. "Hold on to him," she said. I intended to. The wedding was perfect in its simplicity. No months of planning, no stress about seating charts or color schemes, just two people who loved each other, making it official. My sister was my maid of honor. Caleb's brother was his best man. We exchanged vows we'd written ourselves. I promised to trust him, to communicate honestly, to build a life together based on truth. He promised to be transparent, to never give me reason to doubt him, to love me even on the days when my past made trust difficult. There was no wedding cake, no fancy reception, just dinner at a small restaurant with the four of us. It was exactly what I wanted. Connor's name didn't come up once. Moving into our house was strange at first. After years of protecting myself, of keeping my space separate, of maintaining independence at all costs, sharing everything with someone felt vulnerable, but Caleb made it easy. He asked where I wanted things. He compromised on decorating. He gave me my own space when I needed it. He never pushed. Murphy loved him immediately, which felt like a sign. She'd hated Connor, actually hissed at him the few times he'd visited my apartment after I'd adopted her, but she curled up on Caleb's lap the first night he stayed over. "Your cat approves," he'd said, scratching behind her ears. "She has good judgment," I replied. Work became easier once I wasn't carrying the weight of deception on my shoulders. I could focus on my patients without that constant underlying anxiety, without checking my phone every few minutes to see if Connor had texted, without wondering where he really was, or who he was really with. The head nurse noticed the change. "You seem lighter," she said one day. "More present." "I am," I said. "I'm happy." It felt strange to say it out loud. After everything, after the betrayal and the heartbreak and the rebuilding, I was actually happy. I ran into Connor's mother one more time. It was at the hospital again, but this time I wasn't working. Caleb had twisted his ankle playing basketball, and I'd brought him in to get it checked. She was there with someone, I didn't see who. When she spotted me, she looked like she wanted to say something. But then she saw Caleb, saw the way he held my hand, saw the wedding ring on my finger. She smiled, a sad, knowing smile, and walked away. I never found out what she wanted to say. I didn't need to know. That night, as Caleb hobbled around our house on crutches, making dramatic jokes about his injury, I realized something. I'd stopped looking over my shoulder, stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop, stopped expecting betrayal around every corner. I'd learned to trust again, not blindly, never blindly, but carefully, with evidence and consistency and time, and it felt like freedom. "What are you thinking about?" Caleb asked, catching me staring at him. "How lucky I am," I said. "I'm the lucky one," he replied. "You could have let what happened make you bitter, make you give up on relationships entirely, but you didn't. You gave me a chance. You gave us a chance." "Best decision I ever made," I said, and I meant it. The scars from Connor's betrayal didn't disappear. They're still there, probably always will, but they're not open wounds anymore. They're healed tissue, sensitive sometimes, but not debilitating. I can talk about what happened now without crying. I can acknowledge that it hurt without letting it define me. I can use my experience to help others without drowning in my own pain. At work, when I see patients struggling with trust issues, with relationship problems, with the aftermath of betrayal, I can offer something more than clinical advice. I can offer understanding. It gets better, I tell them. Not overnight, not easily, but it gets better. One patient, a young woman about my age, asked me how I knew. "You seem so confident," she said. "So sure." I wasn't always, I admitted. But I learned that healing isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about learning to live with it without letting it control you. She nodded, tears in her eyes. "Did you ever forgive him?" I thought about that. "No," I said honestly. "I don't think I did. But I forgave myself for not seeing it sooner, for missing the signs, for trusting him. That was more important." "How long did that take?" she asked. "I'm still working on it," I said. "But I'm getting there." That's the truth nobody tells you about betrayal. That the hardest person to forgive is often yourself, for not knowing, for not seeing, for trusting someone who didn't deserve it. But I'm learning, day by day, year by year. Murphy is 6 years old now. She's slowed down a bit, less playful, more content to sleep in sunny spots. She still hates most people, but she loves Caleb, follows him around the house, sleeps on his side of the bed. "Your cat loves me more than you," Caleb jokes. "She has terrible judgment," I reply, but I'm smiling when I say it. We're talking about kids now. Maybe, eventually. It's a scary thought. bringing children into a world where trust can be shattered so easily, where people can lie so convincingly, where love doesn't always mean what you think it means, but it's also exciting. Building something new, creating a family based on honesty, teaching our hypothetical children that trust is earned, not given blindly, that actions matter more than words, that consistency proves character. What if I'm not ready? I asked Caleb one night. Then we wait, he said simply. There's no rush. We have time. That's another difference. Connor was always pushing for the next milestone, the engagement, the wedding date, the house, moving faster and faster like he was trying to outrun something. Caleb is content with where we are, moving forward when it makes sense, not forcing anything, just being present. My sister had her first baby last year. Watching her with her daughter, I saw a different version of family than the one I'd almost created with Connor. This was honest, real, built on a foundation of trust and respect. You're going to be a great mom someday, my sister said, watching me hold my niece. Maybe, I said, if I can stop being terrified long enough. You'll never stop being terrified, she said. That's part of being a parent, but you'll do it anyway because the love is bigger than the fear. I thought about that a lot. Love being bigger than fear. Trust being stronger than doubt. It's what I have with Caleb, what I never had with Connor. Last month, on the 5th anniversary of the day Mrs. Holloway told me the truth, I sent her flowers, with a note that said, "Thank you for saving my life." She called me, crying. "Oh, honey, you don't need to thank me." "Yes, I do," I said. "You could have kept quiet, minded your own business, but you didn't. You told me the truth even though it was uncomfortable, even though it would hurt me. That took courage. I just couldn't stand to see you fooled like that," she said. "You deserve to know." I did, I agreed. "And because of you, I got out before it was too late." We talk occasionally now. She's like an adopted grandmother, checks in on me, asks about work, about Caleb, about Murphy, about life. She's proud of me, she says. Proud of how I rebuilt, how I didn't let Connor break me. "You're stronger than you think," she tells me. Maybe she's right. Connor tried to friend request me on Facebook last year. I declined immediately, blocked him. There's nothing he could say that I need to hear. No apology that would change anything. No explanation that would make it better. Some doors need to stay closed. Caleb noticed. "Connor?" he asked, seeing me block the request. "Yeah," I said. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm fine," I said, and I meant it. Seeing his name didn't hurt anymore. It just reminded me of what I'd escaped, what I'd left behind. "Good," Caleb said, kissing the top of my head. "He doesn't deserve a single thought from you." He's right. I don't think about Connor much anymore. Occasionally, something will remind me. A song we used to like, a restaurant we used to go to, the smell of his cologne on someone else. But it doesn't hurt. It's just a memory, like everything else from that part of my life. Real, but distant. Part of my history, but not part of my present. My present is Caleb making terrible jokes in the kitchen, Murphy demanding to be fed exactly on schedule, my sister sending me photos of my niece, my mom calling just to chat, my friends from work inviting me to dinner. My quiet, ordinary, honest life. It's not exciting. It's not dramatic. There are no grand gestures or sweeping romances or fairy tale endings. It's just real life, with a real partner, building real trust, day by day. And that's exactly what I wanted. Looking back, I can see all the signs I missed with Connor. The way he'd silence his phone around me. The way he was vague about his evenings. The way he'd get defensive when I asked about his day. The way he'd accuse me of being paranoid when I questioned inconsistencies. But I also see the signs I didn't miss with Caleb. The way he voluntarily shares information. The way he introduces me to everyone. The way he invites me to everything. The way he's consistent in his words and actions. The way he makes me feel secure, not anxious. Trust isn't about blind faith. It's about evidence, about patterns, about consistency over time. Connor never gave me that consistency. He gave me excuses and explanations and elaborate stories. Caleb gives me honesty, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's not what I want to hear, even when it would be easier to lie. That's love, real love. Not the dramatic, passionate, consuming kind that burns bright and fast, but the steady, reliable, consistent kind that lasts, the kind I have now, the kind I'll keep fighting for, every single day.